Yo, I know I missed something somewhere.
The first stop on your journey is beautiful Buffalo, New York. You gladly get off the stage at Buffalo and embark on a Great Lakes steamer. Lake Erie, Cleveland, Toledo, Detroit, Lake Huron,
High-class traveling music.
Lake Michigan. In Chicago, a city with a whopping 20,000 inhabitants, you disembark the Great Lakes steamer only to board another water-going vessel, a canal boat.
That look weird.
This will take you to Peru, Illinois, a ride of about 100 miles. After Peru, the next leg of your trip will be aboard a river steamer which will take you to St. Louis via the Illinois and Mississippi rivers. It may seem unbelievable, but you have to change steamers again in St. Louis. You're glad to discover that this will be your last boat ride, not knowing that in a few short weeks you will long for a relaxing boat to ride. You board another steamer in St. Louis and ride about 390 miles up the Missouri River to Independence, Missouri. Hurry up and wait. You'll be in Independence in approximately 2 days. You don't look long before you find the Long Island Joint Mining and Stock Company camp setup just north of Independence. With a great deal of anticipation, you enter camp. It's typical Independence grass.
Oh, and I know exactly what typical Independence grass is like. Yeah, some of the art assets in this game.
There's a pig on the spit over the fire.
Oh, look, that's me.
Well, hello, youngster. I'm glad to see we've got some young blood along this trip, and we're gonna need it.
The pig looks delicious. I got me a pig roasting on that there spit. I can hardly wait to sink my teeth into it.
Oh my god.
The pig looks delicious. I got me a pig roasting on that there spit. I can hardly wait to sink my teeth into it.
My teeth into it. Oh my god. What is happening?
You find the man who appears to be the leader of this company and introduce yourself to him.
Excuse me, sir. My name is Jared Wilson. I'll be going to California with you.
Welcome to the Long Island Joint Mining and Stock Company, Jared. It is great to have you join us.
What are you, Tony the Tiger?
My
That's
name is
great.
Captain Buddy. That's right, Captain Buddy. I'm going to do everything within my power to take this company safely across the country to California. Before we get too far, Jared, there is something you need to know. The company fund is running low. I'm asking all of the company members to contribute everything they can so that we can all make it to California as soon as possible.
So I gotta give him my $115?
This man is engaged in an intriguing conversation with the captain.
It's an intriguing conversation with the captain. Good thing we didn't want to hear that. Intriguing conversation.
Since tents are so mobile, you'll see many of them.
I didn't mean to. I am the guy in the black shirt with the boater hat. The weird hat looking.
The plains are still brown and muddy from the cold, wet winter. There's very little grass. It's typical. These are the wagons that will take. It's typical. It's typical.
Yeah, I am the hipster. Okay. It's typical Independence grass. The game really wants me to know that it's typical Independence grass.
It's a beautiful day to just relax and read a good book.
That's right.
The going will be tough in a few weeks, so I'm enjoying every moment of this easy
Bible
life. Since we'll be traveling together, I'd like to give you something. Here, take this book. I'd like you to have it.
Oh, wasn't that
This man is out of breath from chopping wood. You see nothing.
I could have sworn you're supposed to
It's
go...
typical. It's typical.
Supposed to go by oxen.
Before we get too far, the company fund...
Okay, just gonna say that again.
You reach deep into your pocket, retrieve all of your remaining cash, and hand it over to the company captain.
Here is all the money I own.
Thank you
Something
so
really
much,
own
Jared.
money. You're really just
You're a
borrowing.
bright-looking young man, Jared, and I have an assignment for you. When the plains are turning green from the growing grass and the mud is beginning to dry, we need to make haste to the riches in California. But in order to do that, we're going to need a fine team of animals to pull these heavy wagons. I'm charging you with the responsibility of obtaining these animals.
Is this wagon train led
The
by
company
Dr.
fund
Teeth?
will pick up the tab. Head south into Independence to find the teams and report back to me when you have accomplished your mission.
I have this mosquito net. You probably haven't heard of it. I think that might be... the Brooklyn hipster just shows up. Hey, I was... Did you know I sold my house before it was cool to go to California? Oh, look at the fire. Always in slow motion. It is typical Independence fire. It really is! It really is! Oh, look at these fine animals.
The rancher keeps the mules in this corral. He also has oxen, but they're in another corral.
Hello, young greenhorn. What can I do for you today?
I want to buy some mules.
You've come to the right place for that. This is what I have to offer you. Mules, young oxen, or mature oxen. Which would you like?
The young oxen, please.
I will deliver them to your company camp before nightfall. These are very strong young oxen. I hope they will perform well for you when the going gets rough.
I know you're not supposed to take mules. I'm not sure if you were supposed to take mature oxen, though, instead. So, who knows? Let's just admire this pig.
There's a pig on the spit over the fire.
Let's talk to him about the pig on the spit over the fire. This is my new favorite character.
The pig looks delicious. I got me a pig roasting on that there spit.
The pig
I
roaster.
can hardly wait to sink my teeth into it.
He's my new favorite character.
I've secured a team of animals, and they will be delivered to camp later today.
I trust you have selected the right animals to pull our wagons across the country. I have another assignment for you. It is up to you to determine when our company should head west. If we leave too early, the plains will be muddy, and the wagons will sink to their axles. And the animals will not have enough grass to eat. But if we wait until the plains are fully green, it may be too late. Then we will face the gut-wrenching thought of encountering an early winter storm in the Sierra Nevada mountains. When you decide it is time to leave, tell me to head west.
Okay, I will wait for the right time.
You see nothing in...
Yeah, I was very excited to play this remake, and I was like, well, it's not going to be awesome. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think it was ever necessary to have, like, these rendered characters and stuff either. Like, the Monkey Island remake actually looks pretty good, because it's all drawn. Like, somebody went through and hand...
The plains are still brown and muddy from the cold, wet winter. There's very little grass.
I'm gonna laugh when this just changes abruptly.
The plains are still brown and muddy from the cold, wet winter. There's very little grass.
Like the scene, actually. Like, you could just watch the grass grow. That's pretty much what you're doing right now. Look at the water there in the background. Like, I don't know, for some reason that doesn't look half bad to me. And I'm like, somebody paid attention to all the details in this game. And yet there's so much wrong with it. But I'm not going to stop playing it because the King's Quest remakes. Oh, somebody did King's Quest remakes on there's an engine called Adventure Game Studio that Wad Jedi uses. I think the King's Quest remakes are fan remakes, actually. But Adventure Game Studio is a programming language and like graphical suite to make games like this. This one doesn't run on it, but there are some games that run on it. AGD Interactive. Yeah, I figured they were fan remakes. I'm going to have to play those, because I never really played a lot of the King's Quest games back in the day.
The plains are still brown and muddy from the cold, wet winter. There's very little grass.
I like that they kept the waiting for the grass to turn still in here. Yeah, man, I miss Sierra so bad. The last games they put out were the last ones I remember. This might have actually been Westwood that did SWAT 1 and 2. I may actually stop playing this and go play SWAT 2, because that game was fantastic too. And not only is it like it's a fan remake, sure, and not only is it for cash. It's like an insane amount of cash, like for a game like this. Like I would pay $10 for this game, if I was buying it, you know, without waiting for a sale or something. Like that's the most I would pay. But I'm pretty sure it's like $15 and $24 or $19 and $24 for like the special edition that comes with some booklets or something.
The plains are still brown and muddy. The plains.
And I like. And then they bundle the original with it, you know, as like a whatever. I may just get the original, to be honest with you, but like, I don't know. All I really want to know is, the thing is, debuted at $40 for this? Oh man. Yeah, I saw that the original's $6, but it goes on sale for like $1 something. On, you know, and it will on summer sale. But yeah, $40 for the special edition? No thanks, man. Like, nostalgia's not worth that much to me. And like, the only reason I even wanted to play this is because me and my brother never beat it. And like, we had no idea what the end was. We just knew you went down into the tunnels, you went down into the mines, eventually you found your brother and you got a bunch of gold. But like, I would assume that that's the happy ending.
The plains are still brown and muddy from the cold, wet winter.
Oh my
There's very
God.
little grass. The plains are still. The plain. The. 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 The.
I wonder if it takes looking at it every so often. Yeah, this is just. It's just. If you were going to change anything in the game, why wouldn't you change this part? This part is terrible. And it was terrible in the original game, because you had like a 30-second window after waiting for freaking 10 minutes for the freaking grass to change. You had like a 3-second window where you could go tell the guy it was time to go, and hopefully not die. No, GOG doesn't have Gold Rush, but Steam does. It's on there somewhere. I think it's just called Gold Rush Classic.
The plains are still.
Like, of all the terrible mechanics in the game, this was the worst. And I understand that they were trying to make like a historical experience, and they were trying to make it seem more like it actually would have been if they were traveling. But like, why are you going to keep this in here? Why is this the part where you're like, that's where we want to preserve the realism, but you can get run over by a stagecoach 4 or 5 times and not die? Like, I don't know, man. I'm starting to side. I'm starting to side with all the people who may not necessarily like this game.
The plains are still...
Okay. I'm not gonna sit here. I'm about to rage quit this game. Oh, man. Like, this goes against everything that I know as a guy who does marketing. As far as getting people to like something, is you want to keep... I guess they didn't know a lot about games back then, but we do now, which is why, like, with a fan remake like this...
The plains are still brown and muddy from the cold, wet winter.
Why is that still a thing? Why is the waiting still a thing? It's like sort of fast-paced, and everything's dependent on your action, the way it should be in an adventure game. You know, there shouldn't be some unseen timer that you can't get a look at. Everything should really be dependent on your action. So, like, the better way to do it would be, like, have some tasks that you have to do around camp. And then, at the end, have some tasks you had to do at the camp. And then at the end, you go out, and it's like, oh, now that you have everything done, like, now that you have completed those tasks, you've completed an invisible checklist, which is much different, and I think much more effective. And now you can move forward, you know? And if you're going to take the death and stuff out of the game, that's the way I would do it. I wouldn't leave this in here, because then, like, I don't know. Perfect game to remake because it has educational value. Yes. Oregon Trail. It's a shame it was remade by people whose source material seemed to be the original game, as opposed to the history. See, that's the game I would like to see, is a very historically accurate remake of this game.
The plains are
just something that is...
There will be...
You know, like, and if you're gonna get rid of all this stuff... Oh. Wow.
Your keen eye has noticed that the plains are growing greener every day. The mud is beginning to dry.
Your keen eye has noticed. The grass did not just abruptly grow. So yeah, that just made me sit there for 5 minutes waiting on grass to grow. 5 minutes. Waiting on grass to grow. I just want to reiterate that. Oh, God.
I think that it's time to head west.
Okay, men. Our scout Jared has determined that it is time to break camp and head west. Let's hitch him up and move him out.
Thanks, Dr. Teeth.
It is 2,100 miles to California, but after only a few miles, your company, and every other company heading west, realizes that the wagons are too heavy. You begin what will be the start of a continual process, lightening the wagons. The traffic is very heavy leaving Independence. There must be hundreds of wagons, usually pulled by 6 to 8 mules or oxen on the trail. The trails become deeply rutted, making passage difficult. Wagon axles break, wheels fall off. Wagons sink up to their axles in mud. If they cannot be pulled out, they're abandoned. 45 miles down the trail forks. To the south is the Santa Fe Trail. To the north, the Oregon-California Trail. Very few take the southern route. It isn't long before the first Indians are encountered. The first Indians encountered are the Shawnee and Potawatomis. Much to the surprise of most travelers, and disappointment of some, they are very friendly and helpful.
They had no idea what white people
Crossing the Kansas River. You are now approaching the land of the Pawnee Indians. This is the tribe of Indians that is most feared by the travelers. It is necessary to keep a keen watch at all times.
To keep keen
The
watch?
plains teem with buffalo. Herds of them stretch as far as the eye can see. Wildlife is extremely abundant. But the traveling masses do little to preserve their surroundings as they make haste to the west. While traveling the trail, you find those who have gone before you have left a trail of litter and garbage. If there was no trail, you would have hardly noticed. You could just follow the trash. It's a sad sight. Also along the way, you find discouraged travelers heading back home in their wagons. The first major milestone is Fort Kearny. It was recently built by the U.S. Army to attempt to keep peace between the Pawnee and Sioux Indians. Travelers look forward to Fort Kearny for various reasons. Some just want a place to mail letters. Others are interested in how many others have passed before them. Leaders want information on the condition of the trail ahead.
Wow, that wasn't far at all.
The trail is wide and easy to traverse. The Platte River provides an ample supply of water. Between Fort Kearny and Fort Laramie, the company should average 17 miles per day. The upward slope is so gentle that the animals barely feel the grade. Discarding those unnecessary items in Fort Kearny really paid off. The captain advises the rest of the company that this will be the easiest part of your trip, so you'd better enjoy it.
Come to think of it, why isn't this where you're
Due
gonna put
to the
your
lack of wood to burn for fires,
be so
the
much
common
more
fuel
interesting.
substitute is buffalo chips. They burn well if they're dry. If they're damp, they smoke a lot. If they are wet, they are next to fireproof. One of the main obstacles between you and Fort Laramie is the crossing of the South Platte River. What makes this crossing so difficult is that the riverbed is like quicksand. The trail ahead will take the company by the most prominent landmarks of the trek, and also of the West. Ash Hollow, Courthouse Rock, Chimney Rock. All along the way, the wagons have been getting lighter, but climbing the gentle slopes
you
of the
throw up
North
pictures
Platte,
of all that
your
stuff?
captain finds it's necessary to lighten the load even more. The captain also takes note of the need to increase the care given to the animal teams. There is much tough terrain ahead. Fort Laramie is another military station along the way that weary travelers long to reach. Once they arrive, many meet with great disappointment. They're unable to acquire many of the articles they desperately need, such as fresh animals to replace those that have died along the way or those that will not last much longer. You could have all the money in the world and it would be useless. They just aren't available. Leaving Fort Laramie, the scenery changes abruptly. From the gentle slopes of the plain, you're now traveling on the sandy, steep trails heading into the hills called the Black Hills because of the dense growth of juniper and pine.
I remember playing this.
It is now obvious that many wagons on the trail are still extremely overloaded, and they have been abandoning all unnecessary items in mass quantities. Abandoned articles consisting of bacon, sugar, camp equipment, cooking utensils, clothes, household furniture, stoves, gridirons, carpenter's tools, blacksmith anvils, crowbars, drills, augers, gold washers, chisels, axes, trunks, spades, plows, large grindstones, baking ovens, kegs, and barrels are everywhere. One company, once in the Black Hills, finally discarded an entire sawmill they planned to operate in California. Anything of any value that was discarded was usually ruined in some way so that successive travelers would not be able to use the item. As for your company, the captain orders that every item that isn't essential to the trip must be discarded, no matter how small. Fortunately for you, the solid gold coin you brought with you from Brooklyn was in your pocket, so you still have that. The letter from your long-lost brother Jake was in your hip pocket, so that is still with you. The company decides to allow you to keep the Bible, just in case someone needs it later. Everything else is thrown from the wagon beside the trail. The only way to cross the North Platte River is by ferry. The line of wagons waiting to cross the river sometimes reaches 20 miles in length. Impatient companies cut down trees and make their own rafts for their wagons. The scenery changes once again. The landscape is barren and dotted with sagebrush. This desert-like region has a few widely scattered ponds, most of which are poisonous pools of alkaline water. It is a gruesome sight to see the result of one of your animals partaking of the poison. Surrounding these alkaline ponds, the sagebrushes are outnumbered only by animal carcasses. It is a welcome relief to pass from the alkaline territory into the region of the Sweetwater River, where the water is just that, sweet. At the west end of the Sweetwater Valley, the trail crossed a broad plateau to South Pass, the halfway point of your cross-country trek. A short break from the seemingly never-ending toil of crossing the country is taken at South Pass to celebrate reaching the halfway point of your journey, which coincides with the Continental Divide. You are now on the Pacific side of the Rockies.
Oh, that was easy. Oh.
Your wagon train is now entering an arid stretch of land. It will be 50 miles before you or the animals will be able to taste the refreshing cool water of the Green River. Every container is filled to the brim with the life-giving water that will be so valuable for the next few days. The trail across this desolate wasteland is strewn with dead oxen. The animals, as well as you, are parched and desperately in need of water. During this section of the trail, the going gets tough. There are no rivers going your direction to follow. It is just seemingly endless miles of gravel, rocks, sand, dust, steep hills to climb, and difficult descents. As difficult as it is to keep
I feel
going,
like there
you have to keep those big wheels turning.
Besides just the map and the stuff.
The captain bellows a command, and the animal team comes to a halt. You're at the top of the steep hill overlooking the Green River. Using your Yankee ingenuity, you put the chains through the wagon wheels to keep the wheels from turning. That's a brilliant idea. As thirsty as those animals are, they would have pulled the wagon along with everyone inside over the edge of this steep hill.
Thanks, oxen. I'm glad that you just came back on your own and stuff.
When the oxen return, refreshed and ready to go, you assist in hitching the wagon. It looks like the company is ready to attempt the steep hill. The wagon starts moving, so you courageously get on. Things are looking good. You are responsible for saving the animal team, the wagon, and the lives of your fellow company members. You are to be commended.
Oh, good. Oh, man. Yeah, I do seem to remember, you know, there was at least some animations and stuff on the maps, and it would, like, show his face, and then when it was, like, passing the landmarks and stuff, it would show you a picture of that stuff. But, like, that's another place. Like, if you're going to remake a game, and you're going to take out stuff like that, like, what's even the point of having the dialogue at that point? You know, nobody wants to sit there and watch a line go across a map. There's a reason that, like, I don't know. I feel like this game could have been more of a reimagining, and I guess they decided to go more for faithful remake. I don't know if this was Kickstarted or what, or if this was just a bunch of guys going, I want to make this game and we have the money to do it. It definitely smells like a fan remake that got
The trail gets slightly easier for a few miles as you follow the Bear River. This is a welcome relief. Here the trail forks. The southern route is called Hudspeth's Cutoff. The route is slightly shorter as the crow flies, but it misses the stop at Fort Hall. Your captain takes you on the northern route toward the fort.
The advantage
Fort
of
Hall.
having more gameplay.
After leaving Fort Hall, the company follows the Snake River through a portion of Idaho.
And not miss any story.
A common landmark is Steeple Rocks, two pointed columns of rock prominently standing 200 to 300 feet in height. It is a relief for your captain to see this landmark come into view. He lets everyone know that the company is right on course. From Steeple Rocks, your team continues westward. About 90 miles west of Steeple Rocks, you encounter the Humboldt River. The Humboldt River is a real lifesaver.
Oh, thank you.
It's more like a mud ditch than a river, but it preserves life through 300 miles of arid, hostile wasteland. Tombstones of unfortunate travelers and carcasses lie everywhere along the trail. Although the Humboldt River supplied water to people and animals passing by, there are now other factors to challenge the company. Fatigue is taking its toll on people and animals who must walk day after day after day, breathing dust and pulverized dung. The continual complaining of company members is adding even more tension. There were also Diggers Indians of the Shoshone and Paiute tribes. The Diggers steal and kill the precious oxen or mules possessed by the traveling teams. Gold seekers who've lost their animals are also resorting to stealing animals from other companies.
Cattle rustling. Yeah,
Here the trail forks again, requiring another decision on the part of your captain. The choices are the Lassen Cutoff or the Truckee route. Captain Buddy decides to take the Truckee route.
Yeah, we're getting there.
You, along with everyone else in the company, are now beginning to wonder why Captain Buddy selected the Truckee route. It takes you directly through a deadly desert, while the Lassen Cutoff avoids the desert completely. It's too late to go back. You'll just have to make the best of it and hope you survive. You are alone and stranded in the middle of the desert. Those young oxen, lacking the stamina of mature oxen, died a few miles into the desert. You've been walking for miles and are dying of starvation, thirst, and exhaustion. It seems that young oxen would be better, but things aren't always as they seem.
So they didn't take failure out of the game, I guess. All right.